It's another great day. Sora is happily bouncing around, with Ivy chasing after him. He seems faster than usual. After a while, Ivy finally sits down to rest and drink, while Sora continues bouncing with energy. She wonders what to do with him. Ivy recalls that after healing Seal, Sora may have evolved, but she's unsure what that means. Sora spots something, and Ivy chases him again. They discover dug-up Yamamo plants, and Ivy grows nervous, thinking about how big the Nanoshi monsters could be. The bushes rustle behind her, scaring her, but it's just Seal, a giant but friendly Adandala beast. Ivy plays with Seal, who seems more like a giant pet to her. At night, Ivy enjoys rabbit skewers by the campfire and thanks Seal for catching them. She laughs as she watches Sora eat his meal. Ivy plans to wake up early to check her traps, but a mysterious figure watches her. The next day, she finds her traps empty, though there's still leftover meat from last night. Suddenly, she feels a cold presence, and a black fog appears. Ivy runs, feeling sick as the fog follows her. She reaches a cliff, and to her surprise, the fog is caused by a human, not a monster. Seal roars, and the figure disappears, leaving Ivy with more questions. Ivy and Sora ride on Seal during their travels, but Seal suddenly becomes aggressive. An ogre appears on the cliff. Ivy quickly puts Sora in her bag as Seal fights the ogre, knocking it into the water. Rocks fall around Ivy, and more ogres come after her. She runs into a forest filled with strange straw dolls hanging from the trees. She trips a trap, and the ogres surround her. Just as one ogre attacks, fire blasts it away. A man named Th3 uses a flame attack to create a tornado of fire, killing the ogres. Th3 proudly introduces himself, but he's nervous when he realizes Ivy is trapped in one of his traps. An archer named Shafale scolds Th3 for being reckless, then shoots Ivy down from the trap. Th3 catches her just before another ogre attacks. They escape, landing on bouncy slimes summoned by Th3's friend, Mila. Their other friends finish off the remaining ogres. Ivy meets the adventurer group called the Blazing Sword, led by Sazolk, along with members like Nuga, Shafale, and Mila. They invite Ivy to travel with them for safety. At their campsite, Th3 nervously takes on cooking duty, but he's bad at it. Ivy helps him, seasoning the meat and adding vegetables to make a tasty meal. The Blazing Sword members are amazed by the delicious food, especially because wild rabbit usually tastes gamey. Ivy's cooking impresses everyone, and they celebrate with a beautiful fireworks display using broken equipment. Later, while Ivy cleans up, Sazolk insists she take a break since she cooked for everyone. Ivy thanks them for saving her and insists on helping with the cleanup. Th3, who wishes he had a little brother like her, tries to coddle Ivy, but the group playfully scolds him. That night, Ivy reflects on the day as she combs her hair. She feels grateful to have met such kind adventurers. Meanwhile, the Blazing Sword members worry about Ivy. They wonder if Ivy, who they think is a boy, has been through tough times. They notice Ivy's anxiety about not being useful and worry about how thin he is. Despite their concerns, Ivy and Sora rest peacefully, ending the day on a calm note. Ivy woke up refreshed at the Blazing Sword camp and set off for her usual routine, finding some potions in the trash that could make a great breakfast for Sora. As she worked, she noticed some slimes dissolving trash and realized Mila, with her rare sword-eating slimes Lastel and Lidl, was nearby. Ivy asked Mila if she had ever seen a disintegrating slime, but Mila hadn't, noting how valuable it would be if caught. Suddenly, Ivy felt the same sickening presence she'd sensed before, making her uneasy. Mila asked if she was okay, but before Ivy could answer, Th3 and other adventurers arrived to dump worn-out weapons. They celebrated that night with a feast of Ivy's cooking, enjoying cocoa meat soup and skewers. Ivy couldn't help but worry about Seal, but her past self reminded her that if anything had happened to her Adandala beast, the whole camp would know. Meanwhile, Seal lounged comfortably far from the camp. During the evening, Mila introduced Ivy to her older twin brothers, Tolto and Malma, who praised her intelligence and wanted her to join their group when she grew up. Th3 playfully objected, saying Ivy would be his little brother, but Sazolk put an end to his antics. Mila and her brothers left when the Lightning King adventurers approached, signaling discomfort with Berolda, their leader. In her tent, Ivy gave Sora his meal of potions, and they relaxed until that strange presence returned, making Ivy hide Sora. But the presence vanished just as quickly as it had appeared. Th3 stopped by to ask Ivy for help cooking breakfast, which made Ivy even more suspicious of the presence. Ivy couldn't shake the feeling something was off. Sara's reaction when she mentioned Mila confirmed it. He shivered in fear. Mila had to be the source of that sickening aura. The next day, the Blazing Sword group arrived at the bustling town of Otolva. Ivy was checked in by showing her bank tablet, which confirmed Captain Ogdo from Latome as her guarantor. Once inside, the group settled in at the adventurer's clearing. Sazilk and Barolda discussed a criminal group abducting people, especially children, in the area, but they had no leads. Ivy, worried, shared her story of the dark presence that had chased her. Sazilk was suspicious of Th3 at first, but Th3 cleared himself, stating he just asked Ivy to help him cook. When Ivy started mentioning Mila, she stopped herself, afraid of revealing too much about Sora. Later that night, the group used a soundproof barrier to discuss the darker side of Mila and her brothers. After Ivy's tip, they had tracked Greengale and witnessed them in secretive talks with a traveling merchant, which was suspicious since the merchant wasn't conducting any business in town. This confirmed their fears. Mila and her brothers were likely tied to the abductions. The group was upset, as many had been friends with the trio, but Sazilk was relieved to have a lead. Ivy was surprised at how quickly they believed her, but Th3 explained that Ivy's sincerity, especially when cooking for them, proved she wasn't the type to lie. This trust brought a smile to Ivy's face, and she revealed her secret. She was a tamer, and Sora, her rare transparent slime, had the ability to sense bad people. She introduced Sora to the group, and they marveled at him, promising to keep his existence a secret. As the group admired Sora, Rickville began petting the slime while Th3 boasted about Ivy, claiming he discovered her first. Transparent slimes were thought to be legends, so this was a big deal. Afterward, Rickville tested Sora's ability to sense evil by pretending to be Th3, causing Sora to freak out. While eating, Sazilk expressed shock that traitors were in the Greengale group. Barolda agreed, saying it made sense, as they'd struggled to find clues about the kidnappers. Now that Mila, Tolto, and Malma were exposed, the group could hunt down the rest of the villains. Ivy admitted she found it hard to believe Mila was bad, which Th3 correctly guessed. Rickville also struggled with Malma, his friend. Barolda explained that kidnapping started 10 years ago, initially thought to be monster attacks. 7 years ago, they discovered the criminal organization while rescuing victims. Ivy suggested there were more traitors, shocking everyone. Sazilk agreed, noting their past raids had been leaked. The Greengale's promotion by a noble seemed suspicious, raising more questions. Suddenly, Ivy mentioned she was 9 years old and had just turned 9 that day. Everyone clapped, wishing her a happy birthday, making her blush. Th3 suggested a proper celebration later, but Ivy smiled, happy with the simple well wishes. Th3 teased that she acted older than 9, likely due to her past life knowledge. To test whom they could trust, they visited the Adventurers Guild. Sora gave positive reactions to the Guild Master Rogleaf, Captain Birksby, and Vice Captain Agrop. Barolda used a magic crystal to confirm their trustworthiness without revealing Sora's secret. Rogleaf asked them to use the crystal to uncover traitors within the guild and summoned all the adventurers. At the merchant's house, Birksby introduced 2 guards, but Sora reacted to one, Malgayula, revealing him as a traitor. Inside, Vice Captain Agrop was disappointed in Malgajula's betrayal. The group found 38 traitors among 150 watchmen, explaining their previous leaks. Count Faltoria and Lord Ferranda arrived, but Sora revealed Faltoria was involved in the criminal organization. Birksby, overwhelmed with guilt for unknowingly aiding Faltoria, punched the wall in frustration. The group comforted him, reminding him that the real enemy was the organization. Ivy suggested a traitor near the base must have tipped Faltoria off. She then discovered a hidden room with wealth and records of the kidnappings. Birksby suggested leaving the evidence in place to fool the organization. The next day, Th3 followed Ivy during her chores and asked if she was really a boy. Ivy teared up, apologizing, but Th3 reassured her it was safer this way. Mila of the Greengale then appeared, inviting Ivy to explore the town, and her brothers Tolto and Malma joined, adding tension.